Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, we shall be discussing The Last of Us, even though we only have one more episode left. So it's like The Last of This. As we talk about season 1, episode 8, the rise of David, as introduced in the game and also in the show now. So what do we think? Let's start with the game players. Chris, what did you think of this interpretation of David?
This was the other than maybe the pilot episode. Well, the pilot episode I was kind of interested in seeing, but this was probably the episode I was more looking forward to. And only in the sense in the video game, I remember the scariest part in the video game wasn't even that you were fighting against clickers and bloaters. It was when you were left alone. The entire game you're playing as Joel. But when you were playing as Joel, you got support. You got Bill, you got Tess, got Marianne, you got Tommy, and then obviously you got Ellie. But then there's this one part where you're playing as Ellie, and that was like where Joe gets hurt, and basically it's the first time you're ever playing by yourself, and it's very scary. It was very scary doing that by yourself, and especially when you're trying to deal with. But then you meet this really nice guy named David. And I just remember, because everyone in the game that you encounter, you're unsure about, but they all become allies. Every single one of them. Bill, Tess, Marianne, everyone. And then, so you see David helps you out in the game. You're like, he saves your life. You know what I mean? Like, you got a clicker almost killing you, but coming after you, David saves your life. You're saving his life or whatnot. You guys are like basically like building up this friendship or whatnot. And then all of a sudden it starts to get a little dark when he starts telling you about a story about some men that went missing and them being killed by a particular crazy man that had a girl with them. You're like, oh shit. It took me a minute in the game. I was like, oh fuck. Because the guy had like this weird look in his face, and you're like, oh, something's off with him. And then, so I was looking forward to this episode. Dave was like my favorite character. And he's my favorite character in the first game. I would say in the entire franchise is David and one other character who I won't bring up since they haven't introduced this character yet. But yeah, I thought they did a really good job. They made him more of a preacher in this one, which I thought was a nice creative choice in this one. The fact that he was a teacher before all of this makes it even more creepy, and all that. I felt like they put a bunch of Easter eggs to both like maybe the ending and what's going on in the second game, especially with stuff going on like, with them losing somebody, and then you gotta, and then someone's missing a parent and stuff like that. So I thought it was like nice little gems that they're throwing in there. You know what I mean? Like consequences. Like, what's the consequences of you doing stuff? And to be honest, if I was that little girl, I understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, you killed, like, someone killed my father, right? Now, granted, he did try to kill Joel first. I will say that. He did try to kill Joel first. So, okay, fine, right? Same time, no, you don't know that, right? You don't know you just know that your father went out there to get food, and all of a sudden some random dude just kills his ass. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I understand that. And in this world, there are consequences to shit. So overall, I thought the episode was really good. I love the fact that Ellie kind of came into her own. I love how realistic it was too. Like in the game, you're given a bow and arrow, but in this one, like, she has a gun. But I love that the gun was so huge and it was like so heavy on her that you saw. I thought it was maybe acting until I saw the podcast, and they said no, that wasn't acting. Bella Ramsey, she really had difficulty like trying to pull up the gun because it was so big, and she's like just this little thing. And I was like, because I was watching, I was like, damn, they're doing a good job making her seem so little compared to everything else. And her voice just deepens and like, you and Buddy Boy. That made me laugh a whole lot. She was supposed to be serious, and David was like, cut that bullshit, Yeah, and I don't know, if I was in those people's situation, man, you got no food. You gotta survive. I mean, if you ever seen a lot, you're like, the story about the rugby players, you know what I mean? Based off a true story that was turned into a movie, Alive and whatnot.
You know what
You
I
gotta do
mean?
what you
Like,
gotta do. You gotta do
you
what you
got
gotta
to
do.
do what you got to do, or just die. Fine, you just
Yeah.
die. But someone passes away, like, you know what I mean? I hate it. I hate to think. We hate to think about it, but that's what happened. That's why it always tricks me out when it's if you guys will ever watch like the show Naked and Afraid or whatnot, they always put a person in there because there's always like two people in there, like a man or woman usually, and they always put someone like one of the partners either is a male or female. One of them is always vegan, right? There's like, I can show them that I can survive out here, and you don't have to eat things and whatnot, right? The majority of the time, 60% of the time, right? When it gets to day 15 or 16, like someone's hunting a snake or whatnot, they start crying, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Guess what those vegans do? They wind up going and get eating that piece of whatever, of that meat. You know what I mean? So yeah, like when you got to survive, that's what happens. So awesome episode. I think Bella, if Bella doesn't get a nomination, especially from this episode, as far as her acting skills, especially at the end, just all the emotion that came through her, which I can't believe I'm saying it, but it took a couple episodes for me to finally be like, you know what, this version of Ellie was even way better than the video game version. Obviously, like, I wasn't sure with this actress at first, but seeing her in the last 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, all right, she gets her flowers. Definitely, she gets her flowers. You know what I mean? Because and she killed it. She literally, like, you know what I mean? She did the damn thing and threw a couple more whacks in there. And the dude played David was awesome, very creepy, awesome. And yeah, it's just he did it was a great interpretation of David. I thought, minus the action stuff. That was probably my only critique I had, was that there wasn't some of the buildup of the trustworthiness that you get with David, you know what I mean, like compared to the game, and that I thought was missing, you know what I mean, because you really do trust David, like David, like, you know what I mean, and then all of a sudden there's a switch, you know what I mean, and we didn't really get that. We just get like more like jokey stuff behind fire, and I was like, but to me it wasn't long enough, you know what I mean. I don't know if it was budgets and whatnot. I did hear people talk about like the last couple episodes, it hasn't been as action packed or whatnot, especially even the stuff with Riley, because her and Riley was supposed to run around, like shooting around, like zombies and shit until the one gets them. But then the last episode, we only get one. So, but then apparently that is, I guess they said, might be the case or whatnot. Yeah. So, got me really excited. I don't know what they're going to do with this final episode. It might have to end a cliffhanger, or it's going to have to be at least an hour and a half to 2 hours, because they got a lot of ground to cover if they're going to end it similar to the game. I don't know. But overall, really great episode. I would argue and say this is probably my favorite episode, even though they weren't going around killing a bunch of infected folks. But that's it.
All right. Kim, what are your thoughts?
I loved it as usual. And the ending, I was just in tears. Like when Ellie was beat, when she couldn't stop hitting because she was so scared, and she was, even though she knew he was dead, she was so scared and so frustrated and all that. That young lady deserves all the awards, like all of them. She did a phenomenal job. And I felt her emotion enough that she made me cry. Because I was like, I could see how that feels in that situation. Like, there's a fire behind you, right? You could die in the fire. Then you got this dude who's on top of you, getting ready to do God knows what to you. Like, oh my God. And then that moment, she's alone, like really alone. I know she realized before, but at that moment, there's no one coming to save you. And that's the reality in her head at that moment. I was like, oh my God, I just felt it. So it was really, that scene was really well done. I think the entire thing was really well done. I mean, that young lady she's tiny, and that gun was huge. I don't know if I would have been able to hold that damn gun because it was huge, but I loved her acting because she wasn't snarky or anything, like her normal thing. She was like, I gotta make myself bigger than these men, right? That's hard. She's a tiny woman, right? Well, almost woman, right? And she's got to make herself seem like, I have no fear of you, all that. She did an amazing job doing that, And I kind of knew there was something up with David when he was talking to his flock or whatever. He just seemed like a cult leader to me. The way they talk to you about the Bible and all these different things, and the way that he went over to the little girl, I was like, there's something else here with this dude. Like, I wasn't expecting, I guess I was expecting, because he's a cult leader. Most cult leaders are pedophiles, and they do have violent streaks that they act like they don't have. But it's when they get you alone is when they have the violent, they show their violence, whatever. Or when you want to get away from them, that's when they flip, right? So I thought that actor he was great. He had me going for a second, and I was like, And then when he flipped it on, I was like, okay, this is what we're looking for. So I thought everybody did a good job. Even the guy who was with him, I can't remember the guy's name, that was with him who wanted to kill her.
James.
He
voiced Joe.
That guy,
Troy Baker. Yeah.
That guy is a great actor. Like everything that he was doing, most of what he was doing was in his face.
Yeah.
And he did a good job with that. Like he didn't even really have to say anything. It was more so his face was telling me, how he was really feeling, right? And so I thought the whole thing was really good. And Joel coming to the rescue, I love that. I was like, and when
he didn't do it. I'm glad he didn't. He didn't come to the rescue, which was awesome. I'm glad.
Well, no. I mean, when she's out of
that rescue, emotional rescue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like I got you now, right? Gotcha. I know you went through something terrible. I was not there for you, but I got you now, right? Yeah. And then he said, "Baby girl," and I couldn't stop crying. I was like, okay. I stopped for a minute, and then I was like, shoop, because the actor Pedro, he made me feel in that moment what he was feeling was like I almost lost my baby girl again, right? Again. And I was like, if this show doesn't get awards, come on.
Yeah.
The acting is phenomenal. The entire cinematography is fantastic. Like the way they show everything that's going on, the snow, all of that stuff. And they were really in snow, like it was freezing out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, but they still, triumphed and did their jobs. And I thought it was great. So it's a wonderful series. I love it. I love the fact that it's a video game about relationships, which, wow, right? And it's well done. And I love when the guy who created the show comes on at the end and he talks about the show. I love that guy because he breaks down what he was feeling at the time that he wrote these different things and why he did it. And I like that. So it's very interesting. It's not boring at all. Like Mayfair Witches, when that shit comes on and says what, I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, it's terrible. But anyway, yeah. So that's my rant.
Thank you. Jemani, please. Thoughts?
Okay, so anybody watching this live, tonight is the night, the big finale.
Yes, also true.
So
obviously.
So much. I don't know where to begin. All right, so I would say that as far as this episode goes, it started off let me say, not the way I necessarily expected that it would. And having known far into the future what's going to happen, right? Everything about what's going to happen, I still feel like I just got stupid for a minute and just forgot it all. Because I'm watching it and oh boy from El Camino is doing his priestly thing or whatever, and he's like, daughter's like, yeah, when can we bury him or whatever, and it's too cold, and I'm like, too cold? What are you talking about? Like, you can still dig, and as long as you have a shovel, a hoe, some sort of gardening tools. I'm trying to tried the rationale, and then I'm like, what? Give it a minute, and then I remember now. It just I don't know why. I was like, oh, that they're gonna okay. Afterwards, I saw online they murdered the hell out of this episode. Oh my god. They were like, there's no way in the world, like if they're at a steakhouse or whatever, why would you have bodies and stuff hanging in an adjacent building or structure or whatever? You'd have it where you're gonna butcher it at. You wouldn't be carrying stuff from outside back inside and all that stuff, like how Joel went down into the basement and all that type of stuff. You have the stuff nearby. It, as far as the penicillin goes, that's why I got the Mario Brothers version of Joel. Like that was like the most super shot of penicillin. I know we were talking about like how the rebar, like, you know, he wasn't supposed to fall off the building. In the previous episodes, he got stabbed with the broken bat. It was more realistic. This was something I thought that they would have changed, but they didn't. I'm like, he's almost comatose 1 minute, and then the next minute he's strangling somebody unconscious and then torturing them, information out of them the next. I was like, this is the mushrooms from Mario Brothers. Like this gave him
super strength,
like, and the wings.
No, it was Pulp Fiction. That's what it was. It was like, really Pulp Fiction.
Huh?
It's the heart-shaped herb. It's the heart-shaped herb. Like he took it and he was like, I now have the powers of the Black Panther. Like he healed himself and now he's ready to fight like immediately. Yeah. I was like, damn it, T'Challa. But yes,
and she stabbed him with it in the wound. I was like, yeah, that's not medical. Like,
well, she didn't know though.
Well, so she didn't know. She kept saying like, where do I put it?
Yeah. So that's fair.
So
that's
I gave her a
fair
break on that.
I understand that. I understand that, but I'm just saying for it then to give him the superpower.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot very quickly. I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought that the casting was kind of off with the guy from El Camino. I thought, like in the game, he looks more like Charles Manson.
El Camino. Who's that? Who are you talking about? El Camino. Which one? You talking
about? The guy who plays David is the guy who was in the who was in El Camino with the blonde hair, who was playing a fake FBI agent and everything.
I never watched.
I don't remember that. I saw El Camino, but I don't remember him.
Oh, is that the Clint Eastwood thing?
No, that's the Breaking Bad movie.
No, remember this Breaking Bad with Jesse? It was on Netflix. Oh man,
I can't remember the cast.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
Let's give it to Jamani. All right, what else you got?
Oh yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, I don't. As far as the I understand with the. I like the fact that they were able to use the whole, I guess you'd say, fungus. Like that was his superpower, and then this was her superpower because Troy Baker as James, like that reaction looked real as hell. He was like, "Oh, she's lying." No, that looks real as hell. I'm looking at you because after she bit him, it was like, "No, I'm about to kill you, not her." Like it was like she flipped the tables on him so quick, he didn't even know what the hell just happened.
No, that was cool, and that made me think about is that theoretically possible? Like, if she's infected, but she's just not impacted by her infection, can she in fact infect other people? Like just like
I was wondering that too. Like, if they would have actually killed her and ate her meat, you know what I'm saying?
Tainted meat.
Because that's what people were asking was the terminus issue out before the Last of Us video game came out. Like, which one came first? But I believe Terminus came out maybe a few months or a year or something before the game.
That's a good point. I was talking about that. Yeah,
it was basically tainted meat.
Yeah. So I thought anything else? I'm sorry. That's
it. Unless, I got a funny anecdotal story if you want me to give it.
Let's get to story. Let's get to the stories later. But let's talk about the episode. As again, not knowing the game, but I mean, I did watch the movie, so I do know who David was supposed to be because I did that. So I watched the movie game. Like somebody put the last.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah,
and I was like, so I saw David, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, and I knew where it was gonna go. I was still traumatized by it. I was like, oh shit, like how's this gonna work? Yeah. I agree, it's too short, but we said that about the series, right? Like, there's a lot of things that they could have flushed out. Like this to me, he was like the governor. Like this could have been episodes, especially that they gave him a flock, and he almost kind of reminded me of David Koresh, because I watched the Showtime dramatization of David Koresh, and he kind of reminded me of that. And I was like, that would have been an awesome story arc for like a couple episodes. Him being trustworthy, like Ellie, like thinking, okay, we found a place. Maybe, we have horse meat, we got fucking deer meat. Like we're gonna be okay. And then, oh fuck, there's an arm over there, and now shit's getting real. Like,
wait, in the actual, that's a big change that they did. She actually ate it in the game.
Oh, that's right. So and then the bowls, like when they were eating, and they showed you the
I don't remember. No, I remember her kicking. I don't
she
think
kicked that joint away. When I watched it last night, she did not eat it
in the game. In the game, she ate it.
I don't think she did in the game too. Now, granted, it's been
she ate it in the game.
No, I watched it last night. Well, I'll watch it again. Maybe I'll
watch it again. We'll watch it.
I don't think she ate it in the game.
I don't think she ate it.
That's why she looked at it and she threw it. I think in the game she actually more like tossed it at him. I think, but
I thought she kicked it. But
or something, yeah. But no, she didn't eat it.
I didn't see her eat it because they did the side by side.
Oh yeah, that video, those videos.
Movie and then the game.
You did one of those. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, there you go. Well, that would tell you.
No, if you do the side by side, sometimes they don't show you. If you want to put money on it, I'll.
Oh, we can do it.
I'll put money on it.
I don't have any money, sir.
Yeah, can we?
I'll put money on that. She ain't that shit.
So and we will later.
I would have that would have stood out for me, especially some stuff she said in the second game. Kind of. Come on, man. You played the second game. That kind of proves that she. Okay. Anyway, all right.
But you know what's gross? What got me was when, and I know this may be petty, and it's probably not a big deal, but to me it was, because I hate when people like women, I'm sorry, in particular, feed men before they feed children. I hate that. And I do. It's like one of my pet peeves. Children eat before everybody else because they're children. Anyway, so when they gave him his food, when they gave David his food, the young lady did that. He had more than everybody else that was at, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That infuriated me for some reason. I was like,
forget the slap, but you get more.
No, we haven't got to that part yet. But that part, it bothered. No, the slap was out of control. This guy, we know he was out of control, but that bothered. I was like, this guy is really a cult leader. Like, they give him the most food and they're scared of him. And when the young lady did get slapped, I was like, so not one of these men is gonna get up and be like, dude, you took it too far. Like, you've gone too far.
They're afraid of him. They're afraid of him.
Isn't that the Chris Rock big piece of chicken?
Huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that the Chris Rock big piece of chicken? Like,
yeah, he got the big piece of chicken, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that was a good one. That was a good one. With the eating, I like the clanking of they made sure you heard the clanking of the bowls, right? Because if you know, right, like you'd be like, they're slopping up, her father, like and I was like, it was kind of cool that they wanted to make sure that you heard them enjoying the meat.
Yes, the way they showed it, the chewing. I was like, my stomach was flipping, y'all.
The only thing I was missing was like them drooling, like just to you see a little bit. Oh man,
it's so tender. I never had venison like this. It just tasted so sweet.
And then for some reason,
it's venison, and we just brought it in.
I know, right? That was weird too. It was like, so when they brought the deer in, nobody was like, wait a minute.
How did y'all chop it up that fast?
Exactly. It's completely intact right here.
No, they got two. They got a mama and a daddy. That's why they got a mama and a daddy. That's
so then the fact that they brought back the deer, they just brought back the horse.
Yeah.
Right, like they could have flushed this thing out, to be like, hey, we got meat, right? And then when it got bad, they're like, okay, now we gotta get back to father, right? Like if they're trying to tell a little longer story, they could have did that. I mean, they could.
Be wanting these 20. I noticed, especially with this show, you be wanting 20 episode show.
Yeah.
I see.
That's too.
Let me tell you what I heard is that they gave them the whole deer, right? Because the deal was for half of the deer, right? And when he came back with the penicillin,
Medicine.
yeah, it was like she didn't say anything about the deer. She just let them keep the deer.
Yeah. So
now that he did that on purpose because he couldn't go back with half a deer because what happened to the other half of the deer?
yeah, because they'd have to explain that. I mean, so they ran into
Well, but
something.
not only that, how would that work? Okay, you chop it in half, then what? She just carries an intro. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
so
not-
that doesn't. That doesn't
especially
make
if you're
sense.
hunting, that you don't do that. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Okay, hopefully no one judges, but I've hunted before. Okay, like you don't.
You don't split it up.
I mean,
it's fine. It's
that's
No,
fine.
it's just like you're supposed to carry. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't. And unless you're prepping them, you have to prep the meat there. That's why, luckily for them, it was already cold and icy. You know what I mean? So they didn't have to do much. You know, they could just drag it, and then the meat doesn't spoil. You know, I don't know about them putting it in the shack though, like with that horse. You know what I mean? And I'm curious how the fuck they got that horse in there, but whatever. You know what I mean?
It's
But yeah, it's.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, again, we talked about a lot of these storylines. They did one episode that they succinctly told the story, but I'm saying, that's because they're trying to get to the end of the game, and they're trying to keep this with a season, a game. But I'm like, if they were trying to tell a story, this could have been a couple of, not 20, but they would have. This would have been a couple.
But it's Joe and Ellie's story. So once you do that, it starts turning into Walking Dead, like where, you know what I mean. Like even a video game. One thing I was impressed with the video game is you own, like, even though you're introduced to characters of Tess and Bill and whatnot, you're all like it's going to be Bill and Ellie or Bill and Joel. Like you don't get separated from these guys. You know what I mean? And that's it. Even when they have Tommy, you know, Tommy's in it with actually pretty much with both of them. So they're trying to keep it centralized with just these characters. You know what I mean? But yeah, if
you're seeing the place through Ellie's eyes, you're still focused on Ellie. I mean, obviously she's going to be there. I'm just saying, to your point of they didn't do enough time to build up the trust. I'm saying we're in agreement that they could have.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want episodes of it. No, what I'm saying is they could have done a full episode like they did, an hour, and then like maybe have them move around and jump around or whatnot. And if it really truly is like the budget, like what they're saying it was or whatnot, okay, fine. But it would have been much better to kind of flesh it out in one episode, not episode. Don't need all that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just that's a little overkill, I feel. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Actually, we do disagree. It's
like, where's the infected? I'm like, this is a show about
the infected.
It's not about the infected. Never see it's about them. So the show is not about infected.
Yeah, it's not. It's
if
not.
If you watch a podcast,
right, Chris, it's not.
Always, yeah.
It's not. It's about. It's about. No. It's about relationships.
Yeah. Right.
I get
survival. Right.
I get that, but I'm saying you can't say that there's a threat and the threat is never shown. Yeah.
But the threat. But if you remember playing the second game, everyone even admitted that the biggest threat isn't even an infected at all. It's ourselves.
It's ourselves.
But again, you're right. You're right back. As much as y'all don't want to talk about, you're right back to The Walking Dead, because that's what they said. Like after about season 2, they're like the biggest.
Well, no. I was saying I didn't want to be Walking Dead as far as just doing episodes and just side characters. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm saying anyway. Yeah. I'm saying like the Flash story was good. Where were the rest of the people as their fucking church / eating places burning down? And I'm like, where the
that's
fuck
why I wanted to know.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. I didn't understand. And then the I didn't get that part either. Like somebody should have come out and said, "Oh my God, it's on fire!" Right? And then they should have seen Joel and Ellie walking away because Joel can't run, right? Because he's hurt. So I was kind of like,
However, though, I will play devil's advocate here. You know how many times you always hear about people like being asleep when like the fire starts down in the basement and whatnot, and they'd be upstairs and the fire, it's not like no one was, no, he did fire a shot. I guess
it's
that's
the middle of the day, not in the middle of the night. I mean,
I don't know, maybe Dave is that much of an asshole. He says, "You are my flock. You guys will all sleep until 5 p.m. That's when we drag the human bodies, so none of you guys would see us dragging human bodies."
To that point, if he would have gave that command because it's time for us to, because it's cold, then that would have made a little bit of sense. Yeah. But I'm like, but again, it was like, where are these other people that you just threw into this show? Because that's not in the game, but you wanted to flush out this character, and now you're stuck with this big ass plot hole while people weren't seeing all this shit happen. Like, I was like, this don't make no sense. Good afternoon, all. Is it just me? Does Pedro being in the show, but the opening song reminds me of Narcos?
Yeah, which he was also in.
Also, yeah, so I said maybe it's Pedro now, but he kind of reminds me of Marcos. The part that they should have you say that's not medical is that she has used the same needle multiple times after she put it on the floor. I was like, this is not sanitary. I see your point. The governor was a crazy character.
Yeah.
The governor was more flushed out, but I mean, he wasn't straight eating people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because it wasn't centralized. You're right. And
I'm just saying, but I'm like, but it's bullshit.
And the governor was also season 3.
Also, Andrea was there. So that's bullshit. Like any
Andrea's
villain they put in there, they put the main characters there. Like it was, the governor was only relevant because Rick and all of them were there. So it wasn't like they just did the governor like by himself. Like he didn't have like the main characters.
Yeah. Well, remember that whole season, the governor was the threat the entire season. So I mean, I would imagine if your entire season is dedicated to this guy is trying to take us apart, I would imagine it would be fleshed out.
I didn't ask for a host.
But I hear you. Just like Troy Baker. Yo, I would say
he did a good job. He did.
That dude, I would say he's the MVP. He's probably the fact this dude voiced both Joker and Batman. You know what I mean? And he voiced like all kinds of video games. I think he leads. He has the most nominations for an actor as far as video. I know it's going to sound crazy, but a BAFTA video game nominations or whatnot. But that's a big deal when it comes to video game stuff. So so
my son's that. Yeah, I know about that kind of stuff. My son.
And at times when he was like certain things, like when I guess when David said, "Are you testing me, James?" He's like, "So no, I still have it." At one point, I'm like, "Oh, I heard Joel. I heard your Joel voice. I heard Joel a little bit." So I thought that was dope.
Was David so rapey in the game too? I don't remember that. And if he was, they definitely made this episode more disturbing. He was, but they just took it to a whole new level because they had more time.
Like this one's very more creepy.
Clear. They're more clear about it.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
I thought it was clear in the game too. It was pretty clear. Certain things like when you're running around like helping each other, there's certain things he'd asked. I was like, that's a weird thing to ask a 14-year-old. You're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that showed it in the movie stuff, but like when you're running around, like actual doing the gameplay, you have little side combos, not the cutscenes, but random stuff. And it's just like he had some questionable stuff, and he's like, "Hey, do you have a boyfriend?" Like just boyfriend stuff like that. It's just like, and she's no. And then it's like, he's like, "Is there a miss?" It's like, "Well, no."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and like just stuff like that. You just so in the game, this is like it does build up to you're like, this motherfucker's a creep, but it's not illicit until much later.
Not in the fire. Either way, in the fire, he tries to rape her. I mean, that happens in the game and the show. That was crazy. Probably.
I was like, what is the logic in that? Like, the building is burning, and you're locked in.
There's none. You can't even find it. But
probably tasted like oxtails.
But you notice though, between him and Catherine, like it's all about selflessness. Selflessness with these characters is the reason why bad shit happens to them. You saw that with Kathleen. Kathleen was good, but she had to get the killer of the person who to get revenge on her brother. Yeah. She just had to. Yeah. And then when it came to David, it's like I just had to have her. James is the only same character, like the same person who was like, we need to like dump her, like kill her, or just let her fend for herself. It's like, no, leave her alive. I want her bad. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like
that was gross.
That was their
I'm sorry, that was undoing. To me.
But I also think, it also foreshadows some stuff. You know what I mean? It does some great foreshadowing too. But it's just like, damn, it's just like that's what happens when it's like you got people who just can't get out of their own minds and not thinking with like logistically and just thinking like with sense. And you see that with a lot of these questionable characters in the game and in the show, so and if they do season 2 being based off of the second game, you'll see that again. So yeah.
They could have made it where the brothers made it with them here and they got taken in, and since we know the brothers forgot their names are good at sneaking around, they found the human hanging around. So Tommy and Joel could have made it to there, I guess Armando was saying.
Oh, those brothers. Oh, I thought you meant like the black brothers.
Oh no, man. No, I think he's talking about the black brothers. I think
you're talking about the black brothers.
Armando, define what brothers you're talking about. In the meat locker. They could have found it in the meat locker. They were enjoying the meat. They were enjoying the meat because they were hungry as fuck. I mean,
if you're hungry, you I mean, like what Chris said, desperation could make you do like what those guys did with the soccer team.
Yeah.
Where they started eating their dead because you want to live, right? That's the way our brain works. We try to do everything to live. Right. And we know that if we eat each other, you might mess your stomach up for a minute, right? Could mess your brain up too, but you rather do that than to not live at all, right?
Yeah. He's talking about the Black brothers. He's talking about yeah. Thanks but to that's why I said it kind of reminded me of again in Book of Eli, how like they were showing like they started to shake because they're eating human meat, like that does fuck up your brain. Like I noticed that there was no like side effects to that, like you see any of that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's legitimate, like people start to shake when they eat human meat, but there is side effects to that.
They were shaking in Book of Eli because they're eating humans. What's in humans that make you shake?
It's the fact that it's human meat, you're not supposed to digest it. Human can't digest it, so it was like brain disease, like they're having a brain disease because of it.
Actually it does affect you in a bad way. Like if you eat too much of it, you can't.
Oh, if you eat too much, yeah. Oh, okay. I
because we're not supposed to eat each other, right? Yeah. So the body.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we ain't supposed to eat a lot of stuff, but
of course.
But it seems like you deep fry it enough or whatnot. I mean, you might get diabetes out of it.
Meat.
I mean, hell, I mean, you got people doing that, and you got people over in Korea, like in all these other places, doing like these eating these weird foods that we wouldn't imagine.
Have you seen that on YouTube?
Yeah, like apes.
That
like
lady, that's chimps. Really small lady who eats. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She eats stuff that you would never in your mind.
And I guess my point. That's my point.
Raw.
Is that these guys aren't shaking. I guess their bodies have gotten used to it, and they're eating stuff like this weird stuff, even like chimps and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what? But if your body's used to, you know what I mean? Your immune system.
I mean, but humans eating humans, your body after a while, it doesn't get used to it. Her eating like monkeys and like balls of cows and stuff.
Monkeys ain't I hate to just say it like this, but monkeys ain't that much different as far as
that's true.
The end result.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I hear you. Yeah.
We can like that. Yeah. I feel like The Last of Us is about their journey and relationships. So the side characters are essential in developing their relationship and the perils during travel.
Yes. I agree with that, Faithful Planner. Yes, I agree with that.
Maybe not shaking because they don't know that it's human they're eating. Well, it wasn't that they knew, like even in Book of Eli, it wasn't that they knew they were eating human meat. It was just a byproduct. Again, that was just a movie, but that's how they tested whether or not people were cannibals or not. They would hold up their hands and be like, show me your hand. And if they shook, then they were like, oh, you eat people. And
I would imagine that they would start shaking because then maybe the souls of the person gets into their body, so they start getting the wiggles. Like, ooh, like they're just possessed. So it's like,
and then they'll be on talk shows
taking over my body. You know, it's like
speaking of that,
and I got a big old vein in my head. I got a big old vein.
Speaking of that, Monique, when I was watching a reading, when she got on top of that girl, it was basically the same Ellie scene when she's just stabbing down for like several minutes.
Oh yeah, I was like that.
Except that scene in the reading was horrible. She was doing a whole dialogue that she was stabbing like go bitch go, and I'm like, who talk about it? Who does all this while they're killing someone? Like what?
I mean, that's a whole other review, please. But yes, I mean it was very connected. Again, so David's just time development. David's whole Ellie, you're the fellow leader like me. I see it in you, and you and me can rule this place. I'm like, that takes time, sir. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm confused on how we got here. Like, and it was very creepy. But again, give me something besides that. I mean, you just look like a natural leader. I haven't seen a woman in a while. And then if he like to Ken's point, usually these people have other child brides. She's not the first. That little girl would have been
that little girl, yeah.
And then then we would understand. Like it'd be like the Lord has blessed me in the Old Testament, and I can have multiple wives, and that's one of my wives, and I want you to be another wife. And then maybe Ellie meets that girl, and like they're friends, like, and then like, oh shit, what the hell's going on between you and David? Like they could have did something with that.
No, but it wasn't just that. Yes, I mean he is clearly petty, you're right, but he really wanted to turn Ellie into to an actual like a partner. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the sense I got from the game. And luckily podcast even kind of cemented that as well and saying like, yeah, he wants somebody. Everyone else are a bunch of sheep, right? Just like his shepherd. But then he sees a fellow wolf like himself. And he's like, damn, like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why he's so focused on her. He's focused on her like, yo, like she's an equal and an equal
like
I want to marry and do
mate.
like, you know what I mean? Yeah, in a sick, perverted way.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
And that, and let's be real. Like, and then there was another thing that he said at the end. Don't forget his last words. He's like, I thought you knew. This is the best part. I love them when they fight. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so so you're talking about submissive girl, like the girl that he just slapped, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Who's like, yes, sir. And then this girl who he just banged in the head, her nose busted up, and he's like, tell Ellie, fucked your hand up. Like, he probably had, I hate to just say, like, he probably had more of a harder one when that happened. It's the episode we watched, dude. Okay.
You're right. He probably did.
That made him like, oof. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't keep her alive. You know what I mean? Because he killed. But that's the type of person that he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he would have settled with the girl who he said, "Oh, I'm your dad. You have a dad now." And then he met Ellie, and then that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, when they told the story in other ways, like, you can usually see that, right? So it's like, and then it would make the character, like, we understand the character better. It was still a great role. I mean, again, another character come and gone. You know what I'm saying? And then,
they're supposed to. These guys are all side characters. It's a 2-person show. That's why even in the title entry, it ends with just 2 fun guys. You know what I mean? Not 8. Like Walking Dead, you know what I mean? Just 2.
The Witcher, based on the game, was about the Witcher and that little girl. And actually,
I wouldn't know. I didn't play The Witcher, so I don't. Maybe you can tell me something from the game that I don't know about, but I don't know.
I said, but like they were able to make it about the cat. Anyway, I'm saying it's still a great show. HBO hardly fails. But next episode again, like I said, it's got to be pretty long because now they're introducing the mom, which is not even in the game or whatever. So they're introducing the mom next.
And she voices Ellie in the game.
That's interesting. So are they gonna end it the way the game ends? Like you said, like, I mean, that's gonna be.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to end like a cliffhanger, but they have a lot of ground to cover. They might have to cut the title. Just don't do the title, and start.
They have to save minutes.
Yep. You gotta say, it's like, come on. HBO's like behind. It's like, come on. You might see Starbucks cups in the background because they had to rush this. I don't know.
How much ground? I don't think there's a lot of ground to cover. It's like,
he drops it off with the fireflies, and they try to get the cure.
Hey, don't say too much. Hey, you saw
what I'm saying
people
is
who's looking at this haven't. Don't say too much.
Okay, but all I can say is that what we don't know is the whole thing about the mother, right?
Yeah,
I can see that being. It's not going to be like a standalone outside thing. I can see that just being something that we see as the story that Marlene tells to Joel, and then that's
right.
And that's it.
It's like she'll probably bit like Dawn of the Dead or something, and then all of a sudden she gives birth, and it'll probably be something really quick.
Yeah,
it won't be that long.
Instead of we'll see it as she's telling it, like this. And
then hopefully it hurries up and wraps up within 2 minutes because we got an ending to do. You know what I mean? Like, they got
it's like,
I don't know. I it's gonna be interesting to see what the runtime on this one is. I don't know.
Now,
so this is the last one that's coming up. It's not 10 episodes.
No, it's not.
No, so remember the first episode was 2 episodes in one.
That's right. You're right.
It was supposed to be 10 episodes, and then they decided to join the 2 episodes, the first 2 episodes into 1 episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question is there going to be Easter eggs as far as like how there's a chronological order that happens with the game? They have thrown that out the window and put the Left Behind chronologically where it happens. Are we going to get what chronologically happens on that day? If you understand what I'm saying, Chris.
No, that would just ruin the surprise then. No, they ain't gonna do that, Jamal. I hope not.
But I'm saying
the point of watching
ruin the surprise of the end of tonight's episode by putting the Left Behind, because that was
but Left Behind didn't spoil nothing. Like Riley's not in like Last of Us. You know what I mean? She even brings up Riley's name a couple of times, but that doesn't ruin that. Won't ruin anything.
No, I'm saying
the whole thing
that
with
when you play the game and you get to the end of the game, the first game, she says, "I wasn't alone," right? And then that leaves something
to the
open.
game.
So you're talking. I think I know
now that we've already seen that, it really doesn't leave much for her part as far as what she reveals to Joel. At the end.
All right. Oh, I see. So do you think Jemani? I mean, I ain't gonna say too much, but do you think the middle part of the second game will be what we see tonight? Like,
I think
we'll
get,
I mean? I think but we'll like what happens present
I think we'll get parts of it. And then
do you think of like the whole veterinary thing?
More like we'll have extended scenes in the next season, but we will get parts because of that in this episode.
Because now I think about it, because there's a character they might introduce in the second season that I feel like if it's anything like the game, people were just going to want to turn off the game. But then the more you play the game, the more I realize in the second one, you start to understand. And I feel like, unfortunately, with HBO, I think the second season, the beginning of the season, because I feel like it's going to have to happen, whatever. Well, I'm thinking is going to happen. It's going to happen in the first episode of the second season, and then people are going to never watch the show again or something, right?
I don't think it's.
But no, because that's what happened in the video game. That's what happened in the game.
I hear you. I'm saying it could. They could.
I don't know, but what they might have to do is change the order. You see what I'm saying? Change the order, so then people will be like, You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you get what Jamal? I'm speaking code here, but do you know?
I understand, but I'm saying I don't think that even in the second season, I don't think what you're talking about could happen. I think maybe second, third episode. I don't think it's gonna happen first episode because there's a lot that happens leading up to that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh yeah. That's a good point. But now I also remember the second game was maybe twice as long as the first, and I feel like,
and I think it will be twice the season.
So that's why I'm wondering: is the second season going to be really long?
We will hold this conversation.
Will it be like 20 episodes?
We'll hold this conversation after we review the last episode. Because one, Kim and I don't know what you're talking about. For one, number two, it'd be better to see the last episode, and then we can speculate about what's going to be like in season 2 and how that.
No, but we're kind of speculating about this episode, about like as far as things that happen chronologically in this time. Huh?
Chris, audio went out.
Yeah.
Last episode.
All I heard was last episode.
Yeah.
So
no, we were talking about the last episode.
Yes. So still know what I'm talking about though. So it's not. But let's work it out.
We're speculating.
You speculate. It's not making sense.
Because we're not trying to do like what you almost did. We're not trying to.
I was like, but these people can follow along. I was like, but. Is there anything not? Well, you can't do that. I was gonna say anything you want to see, because then that would be a spoiler. So we would just.
Well, that's what we were trying to do right now. We were saying
that's why we were like, "Hey, are they going to do the end of the game or are they not?"
Yeah, that's why they were talking in code.
Yes, I think I don't know. So I think that the game.
I think like they should do clip. This should be a cliffhanger.
Okay,
but the cliffhanger is the end.
But then the next season was going to have to be twice as long. Then I don't know.
The cliffhanger is the end of the game. It's. How do you make that more compelling? How do you make Donald Trump? Because I'll say this. I call it Donald Trump because it's a big lie, right? It's the big lie, right?
Wow, Chris.
Make what is the big lie.
I'm trying to see where he's going with this, so I'm looking.
No, I'm saying the end of the game is the big lie, right?
Got it.
And the big lie. How do you make the big lie more of a cliffhanger? How do you make it more intriguing to see what happens next? Or is it just we're okay with it being a lie?
Yeah,
I think
no, that won't be the case. No, because then that means whatever comes next just won't matter. So no, they'll correct it. I feel like we're going to get a particular ending and tonight, right? That's going to be shown one way, and then the beginning of second season, they'll show like like
what actually happened.
the other perspective.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's their HBO's best bet.
No, I'm not saying the different perspectives. I'm just saying, like, when the two characters talk at the end, right? The lie that's told, how do you make people want to come back for more? Or are you just satisfied with one person being told a lie?
Oh yeah, that's true.
How did this
You understand
turn
what
into
I'm saying?
InfoWars? I don't
Info
know.
Wars.
I like
You said Star Wars? How did it end?
Info
Star
Wars, like
Info
Info
Wars.
Wars, like the big lie.
With Donald Trump. Yeah, I was like, where did Donald Trump?
I was like, we will see. We will see. So anything left for this episode?
Kim?
No, I just want to keep watching it because I mean I'm enjoying it. It's really well done. I'm literally enjoying this more than Walking Dead season 1 and 2. Sorry,
Same.
I am. Like 1 and 2, I was on board. At 3, I don't know. I don't know if that was 3, but the one where Reagan hit the Asian guy with the
That was
bat.
That
Was that 3?
seasons. That was seasons later. That
That
was
was
like
like 5 or
Okay.
that was
something.
like 5 or 6.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Then I was done. Like I was a little done before that, but when that happened, I was like, I can't.
It was just
I'm
too many
done.
characters for me. I couldn't.
It was
I just didn't
tons
care.
of characters.
It was
like
too many.
20
I just
of
like.
them. Like
I was like, I only care about 3. Like I
Yeah.
don't care about these other
Yeah.
guys. Like I was like,
yeah.
All right. Chris, anything else left for this episode?
no. Again, the guy who played David. I thought he was awesome. Troy Baker. I thought he did a great job. I love the fact that he loved. I don't know if you guys saw the post thing, but he knew he was going to be in the show. He thought he was going to be a clicker. And
He said.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, but he saw the way he died, like they told him how he died. He thought that was freaking awesome, and I love how he can be an actor who knows he's going to die and still think that it's great. You know what I mean? He created this awesome legacy and whatnot, and he became part of a HBO special. So yeah, no, that's pretty much it. So and Bella Ramsey.
Yes.
There you go.
All
Yeah,
the flowers.
yeah.
All the flowers.
Yeah.
Okay. Jemani, anything else for this episode?
I want to know, was it cold or was it not cold? Like, because
Is water wet? Like
Huh?
I don't know what.
No, I said, was it cold or was it not cold? Because he's out there. You see how they make it seem as though it's cold. And then he takes off his jacket after being basically in a coma and gives it to her. And then they just walk off
He's just a
without
parent.
any form of transportation, huh?
He's just a parent. He's just a parent
Yeah.
taking care of his child. He's just a protector.
I mean, you got to remember too that I mean, this man just woke up from a basic coma, right? To save, he did, right? I mean,
to Jemani's point, how crazy that is. But like
no, but Jomani's thinking airport rules. Airplane rules is the gas mask
Take
falls
care
out.
of yourself.
Like you take care of yourself first. That used to always trip me out. Like they'll show like a little kid and then the person's always grabbing theirs first. And I'm like, realistically, a parent is going to probably grab
put it
their
on the
kid.
kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
I understand why you would want to grab yours first because you
Right.
can't help nobody if you passed out. But
Right.
but Jomani's thinking about those rules.
Yeah,
Like,
or just-
airplane rules.
or just transportation.
Go
How the fuck y'all just gonna walk off into the snow? Like get a
I mean,
horse.
Yeah,
Get
but
comfortable.
I think Joel, he might break into one of those houses again, or get a fur. I mean, we just have to project what's going to happen
Yeah,
because we
that's
don't,
right.
you know what I mean. We don't really know. But what he did was the most important thing is that he held the girl and made her feel secure.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing that she needed in that moment. And then you work the rest of it out later, right?
I'm just happy she didn't still have an axe in her hand. Can you imagine she had an axe and just like grab it like, oh no, Joe, I really
Yeah.
Well, that's why they changed it from the game and him coming in and rescuing her. Because as much as she was stabbing, he would have
Oh, he would have caught it.
He would have caught it. I did.
She was in her head by that point.
If they were really savage, they would have stayed and just murdered the entire town and took all the resources they could. Jackets, everything.
Ooh.
It would have been like, hey,
That's
we got-
horrible.
I was
If he
like,
was with
The
his
majority of them
brother,
are victims.
If he
though.
was with Tommy, maybe, right?
maybe like, hey, we got.
No, Tommy likes to save people. Tommy wouldn't do that.
Well,
Yeah, I'm saying,
Tommy.
Tess would.
Well, maybe
Joe and
Tess.
Tess.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They could have been like, we
Joe,
need supplies.
Tess,
I need a jacket. I may need a horse.
Damn, we didn't even
some
talk about the kneecap thing. That was kind of that was
And
gnarly.
it's like, why didn't they go and tell anybody, hey, you're eating people?
Also true. There's so many things they could have did. They just said, "Fuck, we're just gonna walk off to the snow." Like,
But to be honest with you, Jemani, those people are starving. What you think you telling them that they're eating humans? You think that would really affect them? Especially because
but they never even met the townspeople. Remember, like she woke up and she was in jail. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like,
she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know.
She doesn't even know how many people there are. For one,
yeah, she has no.
You know
clue.
what I mean?
That's just bad writing. I mean, because like those town people would have been around. But
well,
anyway,
when the fire is coming, out of the damn restaurant.
Well, yeah.
And Joel is breaking into houses, and there's a blood trail. He followed the blood trail.
Yes.
Nobody notices a blood trail.
Yeah,
it's like crazy. Anyway,
you gotta blame video game on that, not the show, because video game did the exact same thing.
Trump was president. Where's the lie? And the fact that the election was stolen, as he said. I stopped watching when Glenn was killed. A lot of people did. I did. Show has been considered. The show has been so good. I actually considered paying for HBO Max. That is hilarious. The Walking Dead. Once they introduced the dude with the lion, I was out. He was hilarious. I
lion.
like
Walking Dead.
Oh, the
King Ezekiel. King Ezekiel.
Is that the Game of Thrones looking dude with the blonde?
Yes. With the main, the
at that point, I was like,
tiger.
What
a tiger. He had a tiger. That shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. That's him being selfless for the first time since Sarah putting someone else before himself. And I was like, yes. Well, not the first time. I mean, him taking her in general. So like when Tessa was like, hey, you got to take care of the child. But like being a parent, like him really, I guess, really embracing that parent role. Right. And with the baby girl, to be like, this is us now, if you will.
There's a lot of foreshadowing in the show because they set up that whole scene in the previous episode just so that we could see it happen again with the pointed on the map. And
Jamal, I just realized we didn't get that girl's name, that little girl's name. Did they say what that little girl's name was?
They did not.
Do you think that maybe they switched characters and maybe in the second game, that little girl? Because remember, that little girl wasn't even in the video game either, but a different little girl existed in the second game that grew up.
Oh.
Do you think
that's her?
Because okay. Wait. Let me wait. You got to give us a minute, David. Right, so remember, in the game,
excited now.
In the game, right? There's a ski lodge.
Yes.
And it was a resort. It was a resort.
Yes. Oh,
and then in the second game, there was a group of people that was still living in a. Oh my God. Yes. That's the little girl.
That's them.
HBO changed it up.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
I see what y'all doing.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And just like the town, we saw the town ahead of time because that's going to come back, right? So they're like what Time and Crew live. So that's good. That's interesting. Yeah, all right. Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight. Actually, we will review it next week with a bunch of other things. Thank you guys very much for watching and hanging out with us. We appreciate you. We will see you in the comments and videos and whatever the hell. Legacy is interesting. We may
Did you watch it?
I started the first episode. Episode.
Yeah, it's out.
No, I'm saying like I didn't get to finish it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. But what I saw for it was pretty cool. But like we're just packed right now. So I mean, something's gonna have to go. If we add it to the weekend roster, or we
doing Mando?
Do it as a season, huh?
Oh, well, are we doing? You said we're doing like half the season of Mando and then the final.
Yeah. We'll split that up in half at least. And like I want to do Perry Mason. I haven't even started that. I mean, so
I watched the first one. Yeah.
Oh crap! I forgot about Perry. Wait, how many episodes are you on now?
Maybe
just one. Well, 2 is I guess comes out this week.
Tonight will be episode 2.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I completely forgot about that one. Wow.
Throw some water on Chris and Jemani. review the consultants on Prime. I don't have time.
Throw some water.
I'll
Gremlins. What? We're just going to reproduce like Gremlins. Okay.
Fresh Prince got dropped.
Yes, it did. Yeah, David dropped it.
Oh, from reviews. Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I'm not doing Bel Air. No.
Can I tell my story real quick? It has to do with Fresh Prince.
All right, come on.
Okay. As far as David being a teacher, right? When the first time I was introduced to the title of Cannibals was I was in 3rd grade, and we go back to school on Tuesday, and teacher says, did they, we're talking about Fresh Prince episode last night. She's like, you guys watch that? I was like, and we were all like, yeah. And she's like, did you see the episode when they were, last night's episode when they were stuck in the snow and Carlton says to Will, you can eat me if we, and he's like, that you can actually do that. That's an actual scientific thing, that can be done, and blah, blah, blah. And she took it as like a time to do like a teachable moment, like human preservation and all this type of stuff. And I was like, no, I don't think that was one of those things where you try to connect with kids or pop culture with. That was, I can say that's where the term, I can first say I was introduced to that term.
The more you know. I'll say that it was Silence of the Lambs for me. But I was like, it's a classic cannibal. No, we're not doing no Wu-Tang Saga. Absolutely not. No.
They're already on season 3.
People love that show, but I tried. I wasn't into
what?
it.
You didn't like Wu-Tang? I don't know how David got off of it. I don't know. David, you used to be a fan like myself, man, and then you were just like.
I love Wu-Tang, the group, but their show,
the show was good. David liked the show, and then all of a sudden,
I couldn't. I felt just oversaturated, and I feel like
I feel you. I can understand why you.
Yeah. I was like, and then
all of a sudden you be like, oh, we're doing Godfather season 3.
I don't know the group enough to be like, oh, so and so. Like I don't. So I can't relate.
I know, but you don't know Bumpy Johnson either.
But and we're getting tired of that. We're lucky that thing's over. Mayor of Kingstown. Mayor of Kingstown will be done for the rest of this. Like when the season's over, we'll finish season 2. That's how we're gonna do that. Just because we got too many shows to do. And based on views and likes, it really didn't reach the 100 threshold. So that got pushed to the side. Your Honor would have got pushed to the side, but it does very well. I mean, for our channel.
Surprisingly.
Right, I'm like people love for us to hate the show. I guess
I think because of Cranston, it must be because of Cranston,
right? Or they just agree that this show is shit, and they like y'all telling the truth. But
people want explanations. It has too many questions. Go online, and they want other people to explain it to them.
Drop this season of the show You as well. We ain't doing that shit. Don't even worry about that one.
No, I don't even know why you asked him, Armando, because he has not. He said no. And
wait, have you watched You?
Have you? Yes.
I've watched You.
You're not a fan of You?
Absolutely not.
I love You.
When he was,
I thought You was
jacking off outside that.
It is.
I was like, stop it. I was like,
You was dope. Yellowstone, y'all. If it has too many white people in it, just don't worry about it, y'all. You, Yellowstone.
Oh no, I like You. You was good.
No, not You. No. I'm just saying, like David ain't. What I'm saying is David. It got to have a little bit of ratchetness. Is my point. It got to.
He watched Uncoupled.
Yeah,
what's that?
Uncoupled is about gay people.
That shit was hilarious.
White men. White men.
That shit was hilarious.
Gina in there?
Yes.
Huh?
Isn't Gina in that show?
Yeah.
Yes, Gina's in the show. Yes.
Gina? Who? Gina from
Martin. Tisha Campbell.
Oh, Martin. Oh, well, but she's so light skinned that she could. Okay.
Bye, Chris. I just can't do. No, seriously. I tried to get into You. Right, but again, that jack off scene, I was like, no.
But you have to understand, he is a stalker, right? And that scene is part of what stalkers actually do sometimes. If you get past the scene, you'll see the show it's an amazing show, and the actor is amazing doing what he does.
I hear you,
and he never does that again. You never see that kind of scene again.
It was enough for me. Dexter was an amazing actor too, and a murderer. But I still was like, if that show would have been around now, I would have reviewed it. I mean, I love that show. But I was like, nah, I got limits. Also, we are packed. We are packed already.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
And I was like, I'm trying to go hang out with my wife who just got back from a trip. So